Chinese connection. Okay. If you get the turn, I'll tell you again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are we ready? Good morning, Memphis. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you to this press conference. Your presence today shows that there is a real care and concern for this historic building and what it means to our community. Before we get started with our speakers, I want to recognize a few people who are here today and are important to the ongoing effort to save this community asset. Would my board members please step forward? We have Corey Strong, Truth Pritchard, Mark Jones, Marvin Stockwell, Roy Barnes, and Carol Pearson. These are the Coliseum board members. They've been working diligently to save this building, and with your support, we can do this. I would also like to recognize some community organizers and people that are in support of the Coliseum Coalition. Ms. Luella Marshall, Mr. Shelton McGee. We have the support of some politicians, which I will not name at this point. But we do have support, and we ask that we continue this support throughout the city. I would also like to thank the public officials that are not here for certain reasons, but we want to thank them anyway because we need their support.
I said that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now I want to turn it over to the board member, Corey Strong, who will go over our agenda for today. Thank you.
So thank you, Angela, pillar in the community. And so only reason I'm up here is because she said I could be up here today. So I appreciate everything she has done, really driving this forward. So the purpose of today is really to discuss, there's been a lot of news about potential disposition of this building. We as Coliseum Coalition want to make sure that there is a public voice as a part of this ongoing conversation. And so we're going to go over a few things. One, we want you to understand why this building is important. We want you to understand that there is a plan for what this building could be used for. We also want you to understand that we are in support of 901 FC and having a soccer venue. And so we're going to have a couple speakers to talk about those things. So I want to start off with Mr. Claude Brown, who's going to talk about, he's a neighborhood resident of Beltline. He's going to talk a little bit about what this building means to him and why we should be working to save it. I'm sorry, I said Claude Brown. Let me rephrase it. Gerald Boyd, I'm sorry. That's where you come right from work. So Mr. Gerald Boyd, Beltline.
Thank you, Corey. My name is Gerald Boyd. I grew up at 480 Beltline, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. I drove by there just now. This morning, the house is still standing. Next to it, the house is where my great-grandfather lived at 488 Beltline. House is still standing, still looks good. I grew up here in Orange Mound. I was around when they built the Coliseum. Saw it built. It's got good bones. It needs to be preserved. I think it can be the next Sears Crosstown in Memphis project, just like the Crosstown Concourse.
Yeah.
This book by Bill Holtum is a great documentation of what can happen here at the Coliseum. The Coliseum has good bones. I was able to work when I retired from before I retired from MLGW on the Concourse project, and now I have support this project. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. When I go by Melrose Stadium and see all the children playing, red, yellow, black, white, playing soccer and football, we are with the 901 project. I think the two projects are not mutually exclusive. We support that effort, but we want to keep this. This is a gathering place for the citizens of Memphis. We own it, we love it, and we want to see it viable again. Thank you very much.
So next we're going to turn over to Marvin. Marvin's going to talk a little bit about the ongoing effort for the past decade and the plan that exists for how to make this building a viable jewel in this community. Marvin.
Thank you, Corey. So the Coliseum Coalition has been around for about 8 years, and we've been working with the city for most of that to find a vision for the building. We've come, and over the last 2 years, we've done some pre-development work. And we've been working with the consultants that, to speak to Mr. Boyd's point, that helped reimagine Crosstown Concourse. And we've had some of the same brain trust working with us. And if you can imagine for a minute what this building might become if we took a mixed-use development perspective. What if we were to say events plus fixed uses, such that we would have a diversified portfolio of use types? What if we took that approach, like Crosstown Concourse did? This plan that we have, the Mid-South Coliseum Development Plan, is the culmination of that 2 years of pre-development work.
Wonderful.
And there's another old building, the Crosstown Concourse. It wasn't too long ago that people said, that will never happen. That will never happen. I hear the same voices piping up and saying, this will never happen. In fact, we've heard it for 8 years. But I know, because I worked at Church Health at the time and saw the Concourse project come about, that we can do that. Honestly, the Crosstown Concourse project was a much, much heavier lift. This would be comparatively, I won't say easy, but it's very doable. And one of the summary conclusions of this plan is that the Mid-South Coliseum is restorable.
Yes, it is.
It's restorable. These are the same people that said Crosstown Concourse was restorable, and it turns out they were right. So I trust that summary intel. And now look at it. It's a 3,000 people course in and out of Crosstown Concourse every day.
Yes.
But it took sustained creativity and belief. And that is what is necessary with the Coliseum. And quite frankly, it's what's been sorely lacking from our administration and from Mayor Strickland. But there's an election on the horizon, and we will soon have a new mayor of Memphis. And now that we know all that we know, and it's culminated in this plan, now we know conclusively that this building, which two assessments have shown is in excellent shape, including the city's own assessment. Don't persist in thinking this is not in excellent shape. It is. There are plans for this building, and they haven't been allowed to come forward. They haven't been allowed to come forward because we have not had an imaginative administration. There's never been an RFP issued for the Coliseum. If you're selling your house, you put it on the market and put a for sale sign in the front yard, right? We've never put a for sale sign, and our city has never issued an RFP for the Coliseum. How do we expect ideas to come forward? The ideas that have come forward haven't been listened to. I'll close with this. The next mayor can be different. The next mayor can preside over reopening the Mid-South Coliseum. That ought to excite anybody who's running for mayor. We know enough now. We know enough. 8 years of the Coliseum Coalition's research and the research of other people and the enthusiasm of other people, we know the building is restorable. It's just going to take persistent vision and creativity. It has taken us years to learn what we know now, but we stand ready to work with anyone. We have a plan. Thank you.
And I really want to thank Marvin. Marvin has really done a tremendous amount of work over the past nearly decade. There are several people who have been interested in this building who have come, who we've met with, they've done tours with, who will support that information that this building has good bones, that it could be renovated, and that it is ready to go. So thank you again for that, Marvin. The last thing we want to talk about, the reason this is in the news right now is because guess what? There's conversations about tearing down this building and spend a lot of money to do it. And some people might posit that we are against that effort, and that can't be farther from the truth. So we're going to ask Leah Fox Greenberg to come talk a little bit about where we stand with 901 FC in support of having a soccer venue here in Memphis.
I get applause. That's a high bar. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand it. And unlike myself, who I grew up going to Central graduation, every concert, everything, but I'm not young anymore, so I need readers. So I want to say that not only do I believe in historic preservation, and of course, I believe in the Coliseum, but I also believe in economic development. I also believe that as well as our good thoughts are, that there is a perception that this can't be saved, and there is a perception that we as preservationists or as advocates, the last thing we would want to do is see soccer. And folks, we're just better with both. We are better with the Coliseum and with the facility for 901 soccer. If you guys look around here, and I know this was in the news this morning about the Department of Blight, the Blight Department, we have tons of blight around here. There are, half a dozen areas, and the map is included in your press kit, of areas that could be a future site of 901 FC. You're still in the Liberty Park footprint. You still get all the benefits, as does the community, get the benefits of 901 FC soccer. And I know I go to games, they're fantastic, but we can have both. We are better with both. Let us not forget that $10 million would be better invested in those demolished areas, in those blighted areas, than to tear down this stadium for $10 million extra dollars of possibly our money. Tell them then. Thank you. I will. We have folks up here who not only want to see the economic development of Midtown and of Liberty Park, but they want to see the economic development of downtown too. And you know what? We got some spaces downtown. Why would soccer leave downtown? Why would we want it to? That's another part of our area that can be built up. We have friends in the Downtown Neighborhood Association who don't want to see soccer leave. We are better with both. Finally, if I haven't said it enough, we are better with both. We support 901 FC soccer. We support them coming to Liberty Park. We support them as a resident of Midtown. No offense, downtown. I like them in Midtown. But here's the deal. They don't have to be here. We have ideas and, frankly, for economic development, investors who are interested in the Coliseum. They're interested in preserving this. They're interested in the federal tax credits you can get in supporting this Coliseum. So I think there's only one thing I can say in closing. We are better with both. Thank you.
So now I have to follow Leah. So just to summarize what we had as speaker, we had Gerald come up here and talked about the history of this building. Remember, this is the first meeting and gathering space designed and built in Memphis with integration in mind. Right? And we know with the history of our city that is important. This is already recognized as a historic building. This is the first building designed for that purpose. And I can tell you, me and my family and everybody here has participated in those types of events. In addition, there's plenty of things that this building can be used for and are a part of this plan. Not only thinking about town concourse and different economic things, think about what was recently mentioned, a hip hop museum would look great here. There's conversations about a new Shelby County Archives. This would be an awesome space for it. In addition to that, there's no wrestling museum anywhere, and I know there's some wrestling fans out here. How about bring wrestling home to Memphis? There's a number of things that this building could be used for if we have the imagination and the political will to do so. And finally, we're better with both. I want to see soccer and this thrive. And in fact, if we were to use one of the 6 sites in this area, along with this, these buildings would feed each other. But frankly, spending $10 million to tear down this building and $55 million in a project for a soccer stadium that is over in 17 games a year isn't it, right? Now, we may think that this is a new thing we're asking for, but the city has demonstrated the ability to repurpose buildings, right? You've seen that with Crosstown Concourse. You see what's happening with Northside High School. You see what's happening with the Old Melrose. The city has invested in redoing buildings and repurposing. We're asking them to do it again for what I think is the most historic of the ones that we were asking for. So, to close, let's not do this bad business deal. We know the people that make the decisions here at City Council. So we have an ask today, and we're asking Memphis City Council who ultimately decides how our taxpayer dollars are spent, before they get rid of the building that we own, we're asking for them to stand up an ad hoc committee to study the disposition of this building before any decisions are made, and to hear from us about what's been going on for the past 8 years to reuse this building and bring new life to it. Okay?
Amen.
So Memphis City Council is the one who writes the checks. So that's who we're talking to today, and we're asking you to stand up an ad hoc committee to study this building. We want to put an RFP sign out. It's a good opportunity to do so and hear from us about what's been going on with the building. The second thing is we're asking the administration to come up with a plan to build on one of the other 6 sites that we have proposed. You've seen it in your press kit. We're better with both. Investigate those other sites, save that $10 million, invest that in the soccer stadium and the Coliseum. We'll be better with both. Finally, the Coliseum Coalition, we have a website, Coliseum, was it savethecoliseum.org?
Coliseum Coalition.
Sorry, ColiseumCoalition.org, I'm looking at the sign. And we're asking for the citizens to please give us some qualitative and quantitative data. Please go on, tell us that you want to save this Coliseum, give us your best ideas, tell us the story that you remember from there, because we want to make sure that the city council and the mayor hear from the public about their desire to save this building, okay? So those are our 3 asks. We thank you for being here today. We thank all our supporters for being here today. We're going to open up for questions, but also we'll let you know that some of us will be behind if you want to do interviews afterwards. I know some of the press has made that desire known, and so we want to open it up to all of you for questions. Thank you.
Have you had any contact with any of the council members up to this point on an ad hoc?
Yeah, we're reaching out to all the people who will have decisions that could help. We're reaching out to people that we can help us solve this, reopen the Coliseum, absolutely.
And what feedback have you gotten?
Oh, I mean, support, like enthusiasm.
Can you tell us who? Like,
No,
who
I
was
can't.
given some-
I'm not gonna. We're not going to mention names right now, but we're suffice it to say we are absolutely gathering support from all make and manner of people that have a vested interest in this building.
And I mentioned that earlier, that the people who write the checks at City Council, and so we have not only got the feedback of enthusiasm, but also that decision's not made yet. So there's articles in the paper about turning things down until we sign a check. That decision's not made yet. And so there's definitely interest in supporting us in that regard.
I have a question for you. Is it a possibility that the school systems can come on and join in with this? Because some of our children can benefit on using this building instead of us sending them into institutions.
Actually, we are in contact with the school board members. A couple of them were supposed to be here today, but I think they're in Nashville.
We have one right here, Michelle McKissick.
I'm
Thank you for
sorry.
being here. Thank you for being here.
Mixed use. The beauty of this being a mixed use building is that there are all sorts of things that can fit in to the Coliseum. It's kind of the wrong way to think about it, that we have to have one big idea. We can have a host of ideas. Again, similar to Crosstown Concourse, it's a mix of uses, right? I think if we take that approach, we can find I'll tell you this: I've given 130 tours of the Coliseum to potential investors. There is a ton of square footage in there, y'all.
And who owns, so does the city own the Coliseum right
Yes.
now?
Yes.
What is the timeline to get an answer from city council about, is there a timeline for this potential demolition?
Before they approve the
How much
budget.
time do you have?
We want we want this ad hoc committee convened and active before they approve the mayor's budget.
And in this document that you have, the plan, what does that specify? I mean, do you have any specific proposals for it, or what is
Yeah, so what this lays bare is the opportunity at the Coliseum that's undergirded with financial rigor, right? And there are a couple of different ways. It's a very flexible document that can incorporate ideas like the school system, et cetera, or the archive or esports. So it's a very flexible building. There's a lot of square footage in here, and what this lays bare is how possible all those ideas are and how they can fit together. Yeah, so ColiseumCoalition.org, there's a survey there. I'd encourage you to fill that out. But you're doing, by using your very powerful voice right now, you're helping us. By your presence today, you're helping us, so thank you. I think we all have an opportunity to speak out and say why it is important to you. I mean, that's incredible that your family has a connection to the building. Lots of people do, and I think we just need to keep speaking out. There's been a rush to, I don't see anybody clamoring to, I haven't found the contingency of people who are just diehard, want to destroy the Coliseum, except for maybe Mayor Strickland. But so, at any rate, so we welcome your ideas. We need to continue to have community conversations because this building's very flexible, and we need to make sure that the best ideas come forward. Thank you.
And I want to say also, thank you. What's your name?
My name is Rachel Castro.
I really, really, really we really appreciate you being here. Like, we've been doing this work for quite some time, and me not as long as some people here, but what's important is to understand that there are people in the community that this decision affects, and you didn't have to be here today. Everybody got jobs, everybody has things they could be doing, but the fact that you're here today matters, and I want the media to understand that there are people that are showing up today because they understand something might be taken from them. Okay? So thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
I forgot to recognize, this is a snippet, just a snippet of what can happen here. This is the Chinese Connection
Dub Embassy.
Dub Embassy. We got a live band, y'all. Just imagine what we can do. So I'm asking everybody that's here, including the news media, tell somebody to save the Coliseum.
Thank you.
Can we get your name? Can we get her name?
Angela Barksdale.
Could you spell both for me? Sorry.